Hello, my loves. I hope you're doing well. My name is Yanique. I'm the travel planner and blogger behind My Parisian Life. And today I wanted to do something a little bit fun and different. And so I'm coming to you from the streets of Paris. I'm sitting outside one of my favorite coffee shops here, super central, super close to Châtelet-Léal, the Louvre. We're on Rue Saint-Honoré, and it's just gonna be like a little talking video about things that are going on right now in Paris, specifically about the new blog post on things to do in November. So this is a November type video, so you really want to save this if you're planning on coming to Paris this November 2024 or other Novembers. This is also going to be great if you're a first-time traveler or if you've been to Paris before, because I get into things such as places to eat, drink, and stay, and you know, a lot of the content that I talk about is pretty much timeless, right? So I'm gonna check my little notes here that I wrote for our little video. And first up is art exhibition. So you know, there are a lot of art exhibitions going on every month in Paris. Specifically right now, you want to check out the exhibitions that are at like the Musée d'Orsay. A lot of what I love to do when I go out for art in Paris is to also check these smaller museums. That's going to be in a separate post, but you know, museums like Musée de la Vie Romantique in Pigalle are definitely worthwhile. There's a Musée Victor Hugo, which is a small museum here in Paris. I have like a specific list. There's another separate blog article on some of the best museums, but also museums that have really cool cafes and coffee shops and restaurants, because for me, that's one way that I really like to enjoy Paris, is to, you know, like have lunch and then check out what's going on in the galleries or the museums, or see some art and then have a coffee. And so having so many amazing museums and galleries that have like super cool restaurants and cafes, I was like, this needs its own blog post. So there's a blog post on that. But going back to the original mention, which is for the month of November, there's lots of things going on in the art world here in Paris. We just had Art Basel, that was amazing. I think we also just had Paris Photo. I didn't go to that, but I've heard great things. But check out the blog post for some of my picks of what are things that you can experience in the art world here in Paris. Next up, we have a list of restaurants to try. So obviously Paris is not new to always opening like these amazing restaurants, and there are so many, like I can't keep up. And there's one in my neighborhood of Montmartre in the 18th arrondissement. We have Double. And I literally had to write, like, you guys have to check out Double because the space is very intimate. It's very small, but they have like a great selection of food and wine that I think it's gonna be worth it if you like intimate settings, natural wines, things like that. So Double in the 18th arrondissement is my restaurant to try of the month. Speaking of the 18th arrondissement, I also have another blog post about some of the best places you can eat and drink in Montmartre. I'm like shining light on my neighborhood because I'm like, you know what? There's so much that you can discover in Montmartre, and I want to share it with the world. So there's places like C'est Bon, Au Bon Georges, which is a little bit more in Pigalle, but you know, I'm cheating a bit, but it's fine. And all of that is in the blog post. And then next up on our list, we have visiting the flea market. So for me, one of the things that I love to do just on weekends when we're chilling as a family, or when I'm chilling with my fiance, is like, we love vintage, we love antiques. And so we go a lot to the flea markets. We do a lot of Emmaüs. Emmaüs is kind of like our version of Goodwill, and we have some really great Emmaüs in Paris, all around Paris. So sometimes we'll get the car and just like drive out to Versailles or to some of the other towns that are super close to Paris. But in any case, like the flea market here that we have in Paris, which is technically in Saint-Ouen, the Puce de Saint-Ouen, is the biggest in all of France, and it is a vibe. You definitely are gonna need some tips on how to navigate that, and I do that in another blog post that's dedicated to telling you how to discover the flea market, because it's its own village. It's huge. If you don't want to do it on your own, I have a specific tour dedicated to taking you around the flea market. You know, you just send me an email, you say, Yanique, I'm interested in this, and I create an itinerary for us to dive into your interests, but taking you to specific places to fulfill those interests, the time that we're together for the flea market tour in the Puce de Saint-Ouen. Another flea market that is of note, of value, I haven't been to in a while, but used to love going when Pierre was a baby, and it's the Puce de Vanves. So Vanves is in the south, and then the Puce de Saint-Ouen is in the north. I go to the one in the north just because it's so much closer to where I live in Montmartre. But the one in Vanves, like, I've gotten really good stuff. Like, I've gotten like a long Vanves dress once for like 10 euros. I know. So the flea markets, and then I was thinking about like some of the first time activities that you have to do, were like bucket list things, right? Which are, you want to do the Seine River cruise. I mean, as cheesy as you think it might be or not, I still do it every year, and I take the boys, and I'm just like, you know what, I never get tired of this. So I always suggest that if this is your first time to Paris, you want to do the Seine River cruise. But something that we did last year that I really love is we went to Le Mont Saint-Michel. So going to Normandy, do the beaches of Normandy, or even just doing Le Mont Saint-Michel is also a vibe. The village, the medieval village, is just absolutely stunning. Seeing the Mont Saint-Michel from a distance is walking towards it, it feels almost like a pilgrimage. It was one of the best experiences that we've had as a family. Yeah, the Mont Saint-Michel. And then next up, I have a list of hotels that I would highly recommend if this is your first time, or if you are revisiting Paris. And this is based on, I love kind of chic boutique hotels, or sort of high-end hotels that I think a lot of my client gravitates towards. But there's also so many new places that are coming out, and I'm like, what's on the radar of people who are, you know, kind of adventurous travelers, but, you know, like to stay at super chic places. And so I have a list of those on the blog. And then I talk about touring with me in Montmartre or Le Marais. Those are my two best-selling tours. You can see reviews of my services, my tours on Google Reviews. So check that out. Send me an email, myparisianlife@gmail.com, if you want more info, because all the tours are semi-customizable. However, I do have two very popular ones in the neighborhoods of the Marais and Montmartre. So you want to check that out, just send me an email or check out the website for the shop, which is myparisianlifeshop.com. Okay, next up I talk about Thanksgiving in Paris. Thanksgiving in Paris, believe it or not, has become more celebrated just because Paris is an international city. We have lots of people who are Anglophones, and also it's just another celebration to get together and eat with family and friends. So more and more families are celebrating Thanksgiving here, not necessarily the traditional French families, but a lot of more Anglophone French mixed families. One place that you could probably look to having a Thanksgiving dinner if you're here in Paris is definitely Ralph's. You know, if you go over to Ralph's, a lot of the restaurants in the 4 or 5 star hotels will also have options available for Thanksgiving. So that's a great tip if you're going to be here for Thanksgiving, or just go to any restaurant. Like anything you're going to eat here at a great restaurant is going to be so amazing. And there's so many things to do around those days, especially if you're here for a long weekend. I also have tips on what to pack for winter. Believe it or not, I'm sitting outside right now in this little, like, it's almost like a red denim shirt and a t-shirt. I'm cold, y'all. My coat is inside, but I'm just like this. I wanted a color pop for the video. So that's what we're doing, but it's actually quite cold. So you want to make sure that you're packing your coat, or at least thinking of getting a coat while you're here. And then I talk about Christmas in Paris and Christmas and New Year's Eve, just because actually we're in November and that's right around the corner. So if you're thinking of like Disney, if you're thinking about like the skating rinks, the Christmas markets, mulled wine, all of that information on the blog. Don't want to make this video too long, but I also go into some of my favorite bookshops right now, just because, you know, like, one of the amazing things about Paris is that it's so easy to walk from place to place, and if you're a book lover, you can easily discover so many amazing bookshops just wandering around, just getting lost in the streets, and then also in these bookshops. So there's a list of my favorite bookshops, but then I also go into something that I've become super passionate about in the last 2 years, which are perfumes. And so I have a list of niche perfumes that I've been discovering recently. And if you're interested in another one of my tours and services, is I have a specific perfume and passages tour. So send me an email if you're curious to know what that's about. And that's pretty much it. Once again, I'm just looking at my notes to make sure that I covered everything, but there's more details in the blog post, and then obviously you can send me an email at myparisianlife.com. Hope you're following on Instagram. It's just My Parisian Life. My name is Yanique. Love you lots. Je vous envoie des gros bisous. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And I'm sitting right outside Big Shot here in the Marais. Yeah, it's a vibe. I hope you guys are well. Bisous. Bye.